Hello and welcome back to X4 Foundations. We're following the Boron ship that we bumped into in the last episode. We're heading for this gate, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Apparently we're going to fly
to disengage
Boron shores.
Goodness! A Commonwealth ship. Surely this indicates that our reports are correct. The once dormant gate has indeed resumed its function and brought our province into alignment with our erstwhile allies. You must realize what this means. All the resources of the Commonwealth are now within reach. At long last, a chance to end the shortages. Pick up the pace.
I must warn you, the provinces adrift are not awash with the luxuries of the old kingdom.
entering.
The pain of severance has been constant, but our economy has also suffered. The shortages of essential goods have cut deeply. Reconnection with the network may alleviate some of these issues, at least.
Mila T, you bring us guests, outsiders, with a fleet no less. What have you been up to?
More than that, Royal Steward, I bring momentous news. The fleet, this Paranid-led fleet, it came from the dormant gate in watchful gaze. They have communicated with Kingdom End. They have no Kingdom End gate, but they have communication. We are connected to the network once more.
My word, the
delegation seeks an audience. May I?
Yes, of course. There is so much to discuss, so much to consider.
Royal Steward, would it be in order for me to accompany the delegation?
I'm sure you have other things to do. Diplomacy is not the same thrill as exploration.
Please, Royal Steward, with your permission.
Of course, Neela T. By all means, accompany the delegation.
Explorer, you have displayed some usefulness thus far. I'm tasking you with joining us in meeting the Royal Steward. I may have need of your insights.
You have clearly made an impression on the expedition commander. I sense you are becoming more central to his plans. Join the delegation. Watch this Royal Steward. I have some experiments to attend to, though I shall keep an eye on you.
Okay.
Out of docking range.
Right, let's approach this ship. Let's see what happens.
Docking granted.
Let's approach cautiously. Don't want to slam into it and make a wrong impression.
Successful.
Oh, a capital ship. In all my days. A perfect equilibrium of function and ergonomics. And with such flair. My current abode is penurious in comparison.
Right, dude. Same as usual.
Falcon,
Don't laugh
Sentinel.
about me. Go to the bridge.
pyropalium near explodes with the joy of welcoming esteemed visitors. This historic occasion is the first of its kind. I am Lita V, Royal Steward of the Provinces Adrift. On behalf of Her Majesty the Queen, and as her loyal servant, it is my profound pleasure to welcome an emissary of the Paranid Empire. And once business is out of the way, I insist you join me on a more informal tour.
Esteemed Royal Steward Lita Wee, thank you for your most gracious welcome. You must forgive me. I, Numunkaret, am no Empire emissary. I represent the Alliance of the Word, a diplomatic forum and scientific organization funded by various races across the network.
My. But do you have letters patent from the Empire? The provinces adrift are in dire straits. We must negotiate terms of assistance.
I am compelled to reiterate, I do not speak for the Paranid authorities. Though we do bring news which may bring joy. We have been in communication with Kingdom End. Limited fragile communication, but communication nevertheless. Some months ago we received word from your homeworld. It was heartening to discover that the Boron core has survived the shutdown, and learn of their most ambitious endeavor. Their entire scientific resources are focused on understanding and manipulating jump gate technology. We humbly request your permission to investigate the dormant jump gates in your territory, and to set up a scientific outpost in the region, should that be required.
There are so many implications to consider. This really is momentous. I am afraid I must decline your request, for now. We cannot be precipitous.
By the glistening waters of Nishala!
I fail to understand. We ask for no more than your permission. We certainly have no wish to be a drain on your resources.
Leader Wee, they are trying to connect us with Kingdom End. They have communications.
Neela T, this obsession with finding home is entirely yours. You may have the luxury of gallivanting around the galaxy in search of miracles, but I have responsibilities. I have the welfare of billions of souls to consider. Our guests have already made clear that the outside network, with all its resources, has been unable to connect with our homeworld. The priority at this juncture is the welfare of our people, and I shall not be distracted from that.
Honored host, we will of course expedite communications with the governments of the network. I am sure emissaries are preparing as we speak. Yet, if we could simply...
Enough, please. I understand your request, but I do not think you understand what is at stake. Please have patience, but for now, the matter is settled.
Outrageous! The Boron Queen's government itself is racing to reconnect, and you decline to facilitate? What kind of royal steward are you?
Please?
There is nothing to be gained from trading insults.
This is absurd. Our work is of the utmost importance. Your obduracy is beyond me. I shall take my leave.
No. Temper.
That certainly could have gone better, but all may not be lost.
Ah, the silent one from our disappointing introduction.
Well, let's find out why we're in this situation first, shall we?
From time to time, I spend the waking nights pondering the very same question. It would be misleading to cast blame for all our miseries on the Great Shutdown. In fact, when we were first riven from the wider network, the vast majority of our Boron systems remained connected between themselves. Isolated from external threats, we commenced a new age of reflection and scientific endeavor. And while this period of peace brought the wealth of Kingdom M to fabulous new heights, we were not complacent. Resources were stockpiled throughout the Queendom, a precautionary measure. Oh, we thought we were prepared, yet in truth we were far from it. We Boron are inherently connected to each other, you see. We thrive on a collective sort of innate affinity. Once that connection was severed, each system found itself in complete isolation. things fell apart quite quickly, I'm afraid to say. Productivity collapsed catastrophically. Stockpiles were depleted far more rapidly than anticipated, and there was no way to replenish them. After years of disarray, Great Reef finally reconnected with barren shores. Later, it was joined by several other systems. The provinces adrift were founded, but by then the damage was done. We still lacked crucial resources. I contend that it was the collective psychological toll of the severance that caused this, more so than the evident logistical challenges posed by the shutdown.
Okay, perhaps there's a positive solution.
Your expedition commander hardly seemed in the mood for positive solutions. I cannot imagine that you presume to speak for him.
Assistant, perhaps uncovering more context first may help with your solutioneering.
Okay. Well, I've asked that one already.
I regret my approach at our meeting. You see, I have not hosted a diplomatic function in decades. Unfortunately, I am simply not in the habit of communicating with anyone other than Boron, you see. We Boron converse amongst ourselves, relying on complex structures of pheromones, not just mere words. There was so much to communicate, so much to cogitate upon, yet the words failed to convey my meaning. You must imagine it like painting an ocean, yet having only a single shade of blue with which to do so.
Well, I've asked why you're in a situation. I think we ought to perhaps reconvene and try again.
You are correct, of course. There is no harm in reaching for common ground. I am embarrassed to say that our defensive capabilities are woefully inadequate. Ashamedly so. Our economy is so fractured, we struggle to construct anything larger, perhaps, than a frigate. We cannot even resource and operate a full-scale shipyard. For half a century of isolation, we Boron have had little need for a comprehensive military. I fear that we are wholly unprepared for the myriad dangers lurking beyond the gate. And should word spread of the valuable equipment and facilities proposed by the Alliance of the Word, it might be akin to painting a target upon ourselves for any nefarious actors in the vicinity. One moment. I have, even now, received word of split incursions. If we had anything of value to loot, we would not be discussing skirmishes. They would descend upon us in hordes.
What on earth is going on outside?
The Protectorate has determined that this system poses no threat to the citizens of Sol or the wider network. Our orders are to deploy to a position of more strategic importance. Still, stay alert. None of us know what might be lurking out there.
The Alliance of the Word thanks you for your support. We shall proceed alone from here on. Our military friends are needed elsewhere.
Okay, so I've still got to mediate between the parties to find a solution.
Ah, the silent one from our
Well,
disappointing
we're starting this
introduction.
conversation again, are we?
From time to time, I spend the waking nights pondering the very same question. It would be misleading to cast blame for all our miseries on the Great Shutdown. In fact, when we were first riven from the wider network, the vast majority of our Boron systems remained connected between themselves. Isolated from external threats, we commenced a new age of reflection and scientific endeavor. And while this period of peace brought the wealth of Kingdom M to fabulous new heights, we were not complacent. Resources were stockpiled throughout the Queendom, a precautionary measure. Oh, we thought we were prepared, yet in truth we were far from it. We Boron are inherently connected to each other, you see. We thrive on a collective sort of innate affinity. Once that connection was severed, each system found itself in complete isolation. Things fell apart quite quickly, I'm afraid to say. Productivity collapsed catastrophically. Stockpiles were depleted far more rapidly than anticipated, and there was no way to replenish them. After years of disarray, Great Reef finally reconnected with barren shores. Later, it was joined by several other systems. The provinces adrift were founded, but by then the damage was done. We still lacked crucial resources. I contend that it was the collective psychological toll of the severance that caused this, more so than the evident logistical challenges posed by the shutdown.
Well, we've asked all these questions, so I don't know what to suggest. Let's try two again.
Your expedition commander hardly seemed in the mood for positive solutions. I cannot imagine that you presume to speak for him.
Assistant, perhaps uncovering more context first may help with your solutioneering.
Well, I've asked that one. I've asked that one. I've asked that one. Okay, well, let's follow this and see where this goes. Don't really want to go to the crew quarters, do I? Dock area.
Mission. Withholding his consent, we shall continue without it if necessary. You may have a point. Perhaps his simple mind cannot grasp all the variables at play. I wonder if we can help him to see the bigger picture. Yes, you are right. That much is obvious. I cannot help but wonder if there's more to the issue than that. Perhaps he is overly attached to his role as Prime Administrator of the provinces. A reunion with King Demend would inevitably result in him having to relinquish power and standing.
He fears outside incursions.
Well, we are a scientific expedition, so our offensive options are rather limited in that regard. What we can do, however, is make assurances that any valuable equipment that is transported into Boron space will be well guarded, making it an unappealing target. Furthermore, I am prepared to place several scouts at his disposal, and to establish a network of satellites in watchful gaze. That will give the split cause to reconsider an incursion into the provinces. The situation with this steward does indeed seem resolvable, though I fear he wears my patience thin. Take this matter in hand. Go and see the fool. Perhaps you can change his mind.
Yeah, appear to his, so say, superior nature. Okay, so we've got to go back and talk to the regent again.
The silent one from our disappointing introduction.
Thank you for cooperating.
I've still only got the same options.
Your expedition commander hardly seemed in the mood for positive solutions. I cannot imagine that you presume to speak for him.
Assistant, perhaps uncovering more context first may help with your solutioneering.
Yes. But we've still got the same options.
From time to time.